Kyle Peterson, Clay Matvick in Baton Rouge, Alex Box Stadium, this Super Regional. In Game 2, and UC Irvine with the win last night. We're in the top of the second inning. Here is a ball hit towards short and through for a base hit from Micah Gibbs. A one-out single for the Tigers here in the second inning.
Freshman stays hot at the plate, too.
Here's a look at the Coca-Cola lineup for LSU. Mike Hollander, who went 0 for 5 last night, the leadoff hitter, followed by Jared Mitchell, Derek Helenihi, Blake Dean, Micah Gibbs, who just got that single. Matt Clark, 25 home runs on the year. DJ LeMahieu, Leon Landry, and Ryan Schimpf. And here is Clark, the big power threat for LSU. Had a big regional here in Baton Rouge, 3 home runs. Last night, 2 for 3 with a double and a run score. Top of the first inning, no score. Big cut as Clark almost swings himself out of his cleats.
Wow. And you could see the approach right there, too. The approach was pull, pull, pull. We saw last night from Clark. That's generally where really every swing looked like the ball would go. I think the key tonight for Clark, especially lefty on lefty, Baton is going to try to stay away from him as much as he possibly can. Take advantage of this wind. Try to shoot that ball up to left center field, because if it's up in the air, it'll travel.
In on the hands to the second baseman, Stevenson. Thought about going to 2, but takes the sure out at 1. Gibbs moves over to scoring position now on the play, and there are 2 outs. Daniel Babona is the starter today for UC Irvine, the left-hander, 9-3 on the year.
Coming off a great start against Nebraska in the regional weight. 8 innings in that game for UC Irvine. Struck out 7. Kid that's pitched in some big games. I think he's thrown really consistently over the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Good fastball. See how he uses that fastball in on these big LSU hitters.
Outside to DJ LeMahieu, true freshman. He's had a great rookie year for LSU. 336 hitter, 6 home runs, 40 runs batted in, and a 2-run home run last night. Big cut there, 1-1. But LeMahieu was also the victim of the hidden ball trick last night.
That play that really turned around the game from a momentum standpoint last night. LSU was starting to tag some things together, had the bases loaded, and LeMahieu picked off second base on a call that wasn't the right call to end the inning.
In the dirt, knocked down by Lowenstein. Let's go back to the 6th inning last night. LSU just got the bases loaded, had a little momentum, but then LeMahieu tagged while he was standing off second base, or at least that's what the umpire thought.
Casey Stevenson, the second baseman, and they timed it perfectly. It was very well done. Scotty Gorgon's just hanging off the back of the mound, but the key is that left foot got back just in time.
Drive into left field. Gibbs is going to be waved around. Here's the throw. It is going to be cut off. Going into second base is LeMahieu, and LSU has its first lead of this Super Regional.
We talked to Paul Veneri a couple days ago about the freshman LeMahieu. He said, you know what, he just seems to come up big in big spots for us. Does it again right here when LSU just needed some offensive momentum. Big 2-out single to left field. Good speed by Micah Gibbs. The freshman had a good break around second and plenty of time, but also good base running by the freshman LeMahieu. The minute that this ball came in, it wasn't a bad throw, but it short hopped the cutoff man. Cusick went off of his chest, and LeMahieu's into second base.
Now pitch up high to Leon Landry. And Aaron Lowenstein wants to go out and talk to Babona. Landry, also a true freshman. 1 of 3 in this LSU lineup. And what a play for him last night in center field.
Not going to see too many better than this. Landry, a guy that can really run out in the center field spot. But how about this for LSU? Up the middle, behind the plate, shortstop and center field, all freshmen. A team of this caliber, 3 freshmen up the middle, is just something you won't see.
Popped up. Babona wants it, and he's got it. But LSU gets on the board. An RBI single from DJ LeMahieu. 1-0 Tigers. The last series in Alex Box Stadium, the old ballpark. It opened in 1938. New ballpark being built about 200 yards from here to open next season. Tigers getting a run in the top of the inning. Now we go to the bottom of the second. And this crowd seeing the Tigers take their first lead of the Super Regional as LSU is trying to force a Game 3 in this series. And Jared Bradford will take the mound for his second inning of work. He'll face Tony Asaro, Sean Madigan, and Casey Stevenson. 5, 6, and 7 for UC Irvine. Asaro was the designated hitter last night. Had a big 2-run single in the first inning to get UC Irvine on the board first. Here he chops one to short. LeMahieu throws him out. And LeMahieu driving in that go-ahead run at the top of the inning.
Exactly what you want if you're LSU and Jared Bradford. You want this Irvine team swinging at that first pitch. He's going to throw that sinker ball that starts over the middle and dives in inside to the right-hander and away from the left-hander with the goal of getting him to drive it into the ground early in the count.
One out for Sean Madigan. This ballpark has been a great home to the LSU Tigers. They have won over 1,200 of the 1,700 plus games played here. And they've gone 39-1 this season at Alex Box. It's going to be a sad thing to see this old ballpark come down, which has been open for 70 years, but what they're building across the way looks pretty good too.
Moving into it, pretty good spot right up the street.
All at 2 strikes.
700 to 800 seats for capacity up the street. Brand new, beautiful ballpark. Should be done in time for opening day next year.
Alex Box Stadium was named after former LSU outfielder Alex Box, who was killed in North Africa during World War II. And in the late 30s, it was the spring training home of the New York Giants. Back up the middle. Cut off by LeMahieu. Strong throw, got him. 2 down.
Pretty good start for the freshman. LeMahieu came up with a big 2-out single in the second inning that scored the first LSU run, and then now it's about as far as you can at the shortstop position. When this ball's off the bat, it looks like it's through. That's where he threw that ball from. He's about 4 or 5 steps to the first base side. A second, does a great job of setting that foot, and then has enough on that throw, enough on the throw to get Madigan by a couple steps.
And now Casey Stevenson with 2 outs, who coincidentally was the guy who executed the hidden ball trick on DJ LeMahieu last night. To left field. Coming on strong, Jared Mitchell, but it's going to fall in front for a 2-out hit for Stevenson. Second hit against Bradford.
That wind blowing out to left field. Mitchell has to play pretty deep out and left, and all the outfielders in left. And if you're shading the center field over to left center, you're going to have no choice because anything up in the outfield is going to carry. This isn't a big ballpark to start with. One of the reasons why this LSU team continues to be such a great power team at home. But when the wind's blowing out, you have to play a little bit deeper in left and center tonight.
Now here's Eric Daragush, a transfer from Sierra College this year. Down the line foul. Came in as an outfielder, but he's been asked to play third base for a majority of the season. And it's not uncommon as you look up and down this roster that you find UC Irvine players playing technically out of position. But it's been a great chemistry this year.
Yeah, it's worked. You got an outfielder playing third base, a catcher in the outfield.
Tries to bunt, sends it foul.
That's another thing that they will all do. Top to bottom in this Irvine lineup. They'll try to surprise you with the bunt. They'll lay the bunt down when it's a typical spot. And here, Daragush took a little peek down to Hollander at third base, even with 1 strike. Saw Hollander back far enough, trying to lay that bunt down the third base line.
7,500 getting behind Bradford. They'll check the runner at first. Stevenson back. There were no stolen bases last night for either team. And UC Irvine has some guys who can take one out.
Especially at the top. I mean, Litton and Orloff combined for 58 stolen bases this year. So if you're going to see runners, I think it's going to be at the top of this Irvine lineup.
Here's the 0-2. Now pulled foul outside of third. Dargish really finding a groove lately. A 6-game hitting streak coming into today. And in the Lincoln Regional, which UC Irvine won in 3 games, he went 4 for 10. Irvine now 11-2 in NCAA postseason play the last 2 years.
All of their regional and super regional wins have been away from home. They went to Austin last year, beat a Texas team down in Austin. Then they went to Wichita and beat the Shockers on their home field. This year went to Nebraska and beat the Huskers in front of about 8,000 in Lincoln, and then come down here to Alex Box and win game 1.
Hollander. Good start for Jared Bradford. Has given up a couple of hits in 2 innings. He's only faced 8 hitters. We've played 2. 1-0 LSU. Mike and Will, thank you very much. So Florida State and North Carolina get into the College World Series today. They join Stanford, which punched a ticket to Omaha last night. Your alma mater.
Good to see him back. Real good to see him back. They look great going out to Fullerton. Fought back, lost game 1 of the regional against Davis. I think since then has won 6 games in a row.
So LSU with its back against the wall, needing a win today to force a game 3 in this Baton Rouge Super Regional. As Ryan Schimpf at the top of the order, Mike Hollander, Jared Mitchell to hit in the 3rd. First pitch swinging into center field, and that's going to get down for a hit. The 3rd hit against Baton here for LSU. The NCAA Baseball Championship and the road to Omaha continues with Super Regional coverage on ESPN2 tonight. You'll see either Miami and Arizona or Rice and Texas A&M. The road to Omaha Super Regional coverage presented on ESPN by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN2 tonight at 7 Eastern.
The caliber of the teams that we've had advance so far in this regional and super regional. All 8 national seeds advanced to the supers. Fullerton, the only one to lose so far.
Hollander gets it down. Lowenstein, the throw to first in time, but a good sacrifice for Mike Hollander.
Well done right there for Oliver. And yes, LSU will bunt as well. You get him in that situation, leadoff man on, and Hollander does his job. Watch him deaden this ball right out in front of home plate. Lowenstein, great presence right there, though. To check second base, knows he has plenty of time. Even if that second base play isn't there, sets his feet, gets a throw on to first in time.
There's Paul Maneri in his 2nd season as LSU's head coach. 6 years at Air Force, 12 at Notre Dame, including a trip to the College World Series in 2002. Before athletic director and former coach Skip Bertman hired him. And what a job he has done in a short time to revitalize this Tigers program.
The last 6 weeks, I mean, they have been the hottest team in the country. Obviously took a little misstep yesterday, but they've come out aggressive today. Looks like the team that's been that hot for 6 weeks.
Babona quickly ahead of Jared Mitchell, 2 strikes. Paul Maneri played at LSU in 1976 as a freshman and finished his college career at New Orleans, so he knows Louisiana very well. As this one twists foul. And when Skip Bertman hired him, he made the comment that nobody in college baseball coaching is going to understand the Louisiana culture and our way of life better than Paul Maneri. So he's a good man for the job.
And I think the baseball culture down here, too, because they're great fans. I mean, they're loud, they're boisterous, they'll get on you, and they'll clap when they need to. But they really know the game. I mean, they've been so involved in this LSU baseball program for the last 20 years since Skip started his run and really got this program among the best and really the best with a run in the 90s. But they're great, great fans. They'll get on you. They'll also stand up and clap if you do your job.
And it's good to see that Skip Bertman is back to health. He had a little scare about a week ago. Sent to the hospital. A heart condition. But he's He's out of the hospital, and he was even at the game last night.
I'm sure Skip's watching at home today. Skip, you got a lot of friends at ESPN, as you well know, and it's great to hear that you're doing better. Look forward to seeing you at the ballpark real soon. He is one of the best ever.
In the dirt, knocked down Lowenstein, but the runner advances into third base is Ryan Schimpf, and now he's 90 feet away from making this 2-0 LSU.
An aggressive base running by Schimpf as well. Take that secondary lead, play it off of what you see at the plate, and if that ball is not handled cleanly by Lowenstein, all the momentum's going to third base. That's where you advance. Great base running by the 9-hole hitter Schimpf.
So a wild pitch on Baton. And this LSU crowd getting amped up again. Swing and a miss. Snap, throw down, and in time. What a play as Schimpf is tagged out.
Good to be aggressive, but you just can't be too aggressive. Now twice already in this game, 2 LSU base runners thrown out, too aggressive on the base pass.
Strike him out, throw him out, double play. 1-0.
In a hole, and that's the way it looks. They lose game 1 of the regional, come back, score 74 runs in 3 games. Then lose game 1 to Wichita. Put 14 on the board in game 2, 11 on the board today. And the best offenses in the country that Mike Martin has. They're back in Omaha for the first time since 2000.
UC Irvine leading this Super Regional 1 game to none. Hit to the shortstop, LeMahieu. He's been busy over there. And they retired the number 9 hitter, Aaron Lowenstein, to start the UC Irvine third.
But the way that the outs have come today for Jared Bradford, I think it's important for Bradford to be at his best. He needs ground balls. 7 outs so far, 6 ground ball outs and a strikeout. So that sinker's working. That's when you know the ball has good movement down in the zone, is when the ball's been beating the ground, and that's the way it's been so far today.
Now the top of the order, and Ollie Linton takes strike 1. Linton to ground out his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Bradford was drafted on Friday in the 18th round by the St. Louis Cardinals. He was drafted in the 21st round by Tampa in 2005, pitching in his senior year here for LSU. And a lot of players this week. It was quite a busy week because several players in this Super Regional alone were drafted. A lot on the mind, I'm sure.
You think about that, a college kid, for some of these Irvine kids that were taking finals, they had to move out of their place. Leases were coming up. They were on the road, not figuring out how long they were going to be able to be at home before they came here to LSU. It's a fair amount of things going on. And oh, by the way, your professional future's on the line with the draft.
Fans thought that was strike 3, but it's 2-2. Linton was drafted in the 13th round by Arizona on Friday. That's going to get out of play. And you wonder if Major League Baseball will ever move the draft dates.
You know, I think what they should do is just move it to Tuesday. I mean, you got to keep it in about the same time of the year because of the short season ball and everything else that goes on. But if you just move it to Tuesday, you're already past regional play, so guys aren't playing that day.
Linton back up the middle, past the glove of Bradford into center field for a 1-out hit. College World Series returns to Omaha. The action beginning on Saturday, June 14th, 2 o'clock Eastern, live on ESPN HD. For more information on the 08 College World Series, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships.
Now the speed of that Irvine lineup on first base. Ollie Linton with 39 stolen bases this year. We'll see if Mike Gillespie puts it on right away. Try to put some put some pressure on this freshman catcher behind the plate, Micah Gibbs.
Ben Orloff going the other way and into right field. Linton, who is on the move on the hit and run, already to third base. He'll hold up there, first and third, and 1 out for the Eaters.
They do that so well. We saw it last night, the same situation when the runner went into motion. It was a hit and run, and Orloff just made for this kind of a play. Easy inside out swing, even with Clark playing just off the bag and came off the bag. This ball kind of skipped right under his glove at first base. Linton moving, easily going to go first to third on this one. Look at pick his third base coach up right away too. Pat Shine over there was obviously waving him on to third base, but the minute he got around second base was picking up that base coach and figure out if he had any chance to score.
There's Mike Gillespie in his first season at Irvine. And incidentally, Linton and Orloff were really the glue that kept this team together between Serrano and Gillespie during that interim period where they were trying to figure out who was going to lead this team. Pitch out.
How about
Nothing
kids
on.
in college that are organizing their own practices? Before Mike Gillespie was active as the head coach, they set up their own practices. And we talked to Mike Gillespie a few days ago. He said, I mean, they didn't just show up and throw the balls and the bats out there for 3 hours. And they were organized practices. They went through, took their infield, worked on situational things, took their BP, ran some simulated games so they could get guys some innings, and at the end went out and conditioned. So even though there was a transition on the coaching side, from the players' side, they were approaching it the exact same way as they had before.
Gillespie says Orloff has as good of a baseball IQ as any college player in the game right now. He's going to make a good coach someday. And Orloff wants to do that down the road. Cusick chased a pitch high in the zone. It's a ball and a strike now.
First time today that we've seen Bradford elevate that fastball. I think it was on accident. I don't think with a one-out count you're going to try to elevate it, but he did get a swing through. Now what he's looking for, with one out, a guy at the plate in Cusick who doesn't have great speed, trying to get another ground ball at somebody, get out of this inning with one pitch.
Since the Irvine program was reinstated in 2002, the Anteaters have had 3 different head coaches now. John Savage, who's now the head coach at UCLA. Dave Serrano, the Cal State Fullerton head coach, who just finished his first year with the Titans. And now Mike Gillespie. Ball and a strike, 1 out to Jeff Cusick as we're in Baton Rouge, game 2 of this Super Regional Series. Hit in the air. Backing off their center fielder, Leon Landry. Runner at third is Linton. He's going to tag and come on home. And this game is tied at 1. LSU got on the board with a run in the second, and now UC Irvine is tied it at 1 here in the bottom of the third.
It's just your typical UC Irvine approach. Alan Linton gets on first base. Little hit and run from Orloff gets him first to third, and then Cusick, who's been real impressive with the bat so far in this tournament, knows the situation, gets a ball. It's not easy to get into the air, but rides that wind out to center field. Landry has no chance to throw him out at home. Makes the right choice. Throw goes into second base, but that is how you manufacture a run. Linton gets on, hit and run him to third, and then sack him in.
Third run batted in for Jeff Cusick in this Super Regional, and he's almost picked off first. Here's Brock Bardeen, the designated hitter. One ball and no strikes, 2 outs here for UC Irvine. Now 11-2 the last couple of years at NCAA tournament play. Coming into this game 42-16. A win today, and the Anteaters go back to Omaha for the 2nd straight year. Popped up behind home plate. That's a tough play for the catcher, Micah Gibbs, and it's going to get out of play. I mean, the catcher is basically running downhill here at Alex Box Stadium behind home plate.
The minute you get past that rubberized surface, it's right behind the dirt, and it goes immediately down. It plays into the hands of LSU, opposing catchers that have to go back and make that play. If you haven't done it, it's a little different field than you're going to get at most other ballparks. There's a crown to this field, so as you get off of the playing field, it's going to tilt down towards the dugouts.
Pitch out. Ben Orloff over at first base for UC Irvine. Back-to-back hits in this 3rd inning. And UC Irvine on the board. Tie it up. Runner goes. Here's the throw down. The tag. Got him. Oh, what a tag by the shortstop, DJ LeMahieu. Reaching back, got the runner Orloff for the third out.
Delayed steal right here by Orloff. Didn't catch him off guard, though. Great tag by the freshman LeMahieu. Watch the break and a diving tag.
Tied at 1 as we go to the top of the fourth. LSU got the lead in the top of the second. Irvine tied it up in the bottom of the third. LSU getting out of the last half inning with a great play by DJ LeMahieu, the shortstop.
And the delay steal, what you're trying to do is freeze that shortstop. And you go so late that he doesn't have time to get to the bag, but the freshman gets there just in time. The throw's a little bit up the first base line, but LeMahieu all in one motion makes the catch, dives for the tag, and you can see on the way by, right call out there. Mark Ditzworth out at second base, but the tag was there in plenty of time.
Helenihi, Dean, and Gibbs, the meat of this LSU order to hit to the shortstop Orloff, and quickly retired as Helenihi, one down. Tell you, a typical half inning there for UC Irvine in producing a run. I know Mike Gillespie doesn't like the small ball tag, but that's what they did last time.
They manufacture runs. I mean, they take advantage of whatever situation there is on the field. You got a guy on that can run. Let's put him in motion. Allow our guy at the plate in Orloff, who can really handle the bat, to shoot the ball the other way.
Now Dean hits it well to center field. Coming on, Ollie Linton. It's going to get down in front of him for a one-out hit. Fifth hit for LSU.
And first on the weekend for Blake Dean, and at this point he'll take him any way he can get him. That ball's kind of off the end of the bat. That's the location by Baton, a little fastball out of the way. Dean got extended, but that ball looked like it was off the plate. And at this point, he doesn't matter. Any way he can get on to first base, and that's the way you break out of a slump. Is sometimes those balls that fall that off the bat, you don't think they will. That builds confidence for the next time at the plate.
Now Micah Gibbs with one down. Dean 0 for 5 last night, and the top 3 hitters in the LSU order last night were 1 for 15. And it's hard to win games though.
Bottom half of the order was good, but you need those guys at the top that can run a little bit and can really cause some havoc on the base pass.
Lowenstein makes the stop, takes a look at first where Dean is occupying the bag. Lowenstein probably one of the best defensive catchers you're going to find out on that West Coast.
Yeah, there was a regular back behind the plate for UC Irvine last year. Offensively, hit almost 100 points higher last year for the Anteaters, but he's so good defensively. Been in there all year.
Thrown out a couple of base runners today already, Lowenstein.
And a guy that when you talk to this Irvine team, they say is really a leader on the field. Linton, Orloff, Scott Gorgon, leaders on this team. But on the field, Lowenstein really takes control, and it's exactly what you need from a guy back behind home plate. He's the only one that sees the whole field, so for him to take control is important.
He's hitting below 200, but again, you're going to make room for a guy in your lineup when he plays that good a defense. Especially at that position, because it can make such a difference. Now the LSU catchers at the plate. Micah Gibbs with one out. Gibbs has had a great rookie year for LSU. And he has solidified the Tigers' defense behind the plate. But his offense hasn't been too shabby. He's hitting .312 coming into play today. Pitch inside. Now 3-2 as Gibbs works the full count against Dan Babona. You could see the approach from Babona too, and we saw it earlier in this game. Away with that fastball early in the count, and then he's going to try to surprise these right-handed hitters with a fastball in late. Inside, he walked him. First walk allowed by Dan Babona. Runners at first and second, and one out. Both a 2-2 and a 3-2 pitch, trying to go fastball inside. And that time, though, it looked like they were trying to go away. Lowenstein was sitting out away. I think Babona just held on to that ball a little bit too long. Shot just off the inside corner. And there are 2 guys on for the biggest power threat on this LSU team, and Matt Clark. Matt Clark, in his 25 home runs, comes to the plate. Chance to really put a charge into this Alex Box crowd. They have had reasons to cheer on occasion in the 2 games. The Landry catch in center field last night comes to mind. But they would really come out of their chairs here with a blow. And there it goes. High and deep. Right field. On the warning track. Madigan reaches up, can't get it. Clark will go into second. Here comes the throw into the infield. 1 run will score. And it's 2-1 LSU. When it first left the bat, I think 7,500 people thought it was out of here.
Including Matt Clark at the plate. I mean, when this swing was made, watch the finish. Watch him stand there for a minute. I mean, he thinks this ball's out, but the wind is going to take everything to the deeper part of the ballpark if he hit it to right field. And it's exactly what happened. Madigan's there. Goes up to make the play, and I think he thought the wall was a little bit further behind him than it was. See, he thinks he's going to hit the wall, but he's not all the way back to it. And that's the key for an outfielder. It's tough in a field to where you don't know the setting all that well, but you got to find a wall first and then make your jump. That time, Madigan was still reaching for it when he went up.
So a double for Matt Clark. And runners at second and third for DJ LeMahieu, who already has an RBI single today. Ball and a strike. First 4 innings. Game 1, look at that, 3 of 14. Today already 6 of 12 with a couple of runs. And this is what Paul Mainieri predicted. Mainieri obviously very disappointed after last night's loss, but said we didn't win 23 games where they all came easily. We had some hardships. We had games where we were down. And my team responded. I expect that they're going to do the same thing on Sunday.
You just expected this offense to come out aggressive, and they have through the first 4 innings.
LeMahieu thought about it, knocked down by Lowenstein. He'll take a glance down to third. Third base umpire David Wiley says no. LeMahieu did not go. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the freshman.
Well, lots made of the hidden ball trick last night, and obviously it was a big part of that game, but they didn't play well. I mean, they did not swing the bats all night well. They didn't pitch great. Different approach today, though, for this LSU team.
3-2. And Babona is working hard here in the 4th. Listen to this crowd. Swung on, chopped to short. Coming home is Orlov. Play at the plate. Got it. Orlov going home, and they get Gibbs at the plate. 2 down.
Watch the play that Orlov makes here, because this is not as easy as you think it would be. He's playing in, but with the hop he gets, he has to wait back. Look at him go back, take the high hop, but the key is when he comes down, the right foot's already set, so he doesn't have to crow hop to make that strong throw down to home plate. Instead, the right foot set, he gets a quick throw off to Lowenstein. The left foot's in the right spot for Lowenstein. He blocks the front of home plate, and there's really nowhere for Gibbs to go.
Irvine pitching coach Ted Silva is out. Defense has come up big a couple of times already in this game for UC Irvine, and throughout the entire weekend, the Anteaters' defense has been impeccable.
It has been great. That's really been the story of both of these clubs. Both of them fielding real close to 970 over the course of the years. That's real solid, both in the infield and the outfield. Orlov, and this number is just amazing. Coming into yesterday was fielding 982 at the shortstop position. Made just 6 errors all year before yesterday. Ended up making 1 yesterday as well. You just don't find that in places, and that's the kind of defense that mentally allows you to make that play, to stay back, to know to get that right foot set when he comes down. It's the only way you make that play.
So 2 outs for Leon Landry. Swing and a miss. Landry 0 for 1. He popped out to the pitcher his first time. He was 1 for 3 with a couple of runs batted in last night. Drafted by the Reds out of high school, but wanted to play for his hometown LSU Tigers. And here he is on the final weekend at Old Alex Box Stadium. The 0-1 pitch to the first baseman, and that is going to be ruled foul by David Rogers, the crew chief, over at first base. And Rogers, of course, the umpire involved in that controversial play last night out at second base. That really was the turning point in game 1.
It was the turning point, and I mean, from a just an emotion standpoint, made a big difference. But I think, too, when you look at the game, I mean, LSU still lost the game 11-5, so it was a 6-run deficit. And they didn't swing the bats all that well, so you can't point to just one thing.
Called strike 3. Landry goes down looking to strike out number 3 for Baton. LSU gets one hit in this 4th inning that drives in a run. They thought it was out. Matt Clark certainly did. And it's 2-1 LSU. They need to win today to keep their season alive. UC Irvine winning last night. And it'll be Brock Bardeen, Tony Asaro, and Sean Madigan to hit in the UC Irvine 4th. Daniel Bradshaw, right-hander on the mound today. Or Jared Bradford, excuse me. Right-hander on the mound for LSU today. And goes outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
He's been good. He's been real good. Focusing on that sinker, that's the key for him. Throw that sinker over, get it over early in the count. Really, until this inning, he's done a great job of doing that.
Hit in the air, left field, wind blowing out. Going back, Jared Mitchell, he'll watch it fly. Goodbye home run. Leadoff home run for Brock Bardeen, his 2nd home run of this Super Regional.
That's how you take advantage of the ballpark right there. Wind blowing out to left field. Smaller ballpark to start, and Bardeen does a great job of staying on this pitch that stays elevated, exactly what Bradford cannot afford to do. The big left-hander who hit a home run last night to right field, tonight does it to left. 2-0 fastball, not a bad pitch, but in a 2-0 count where you're up there looking for a fastball, Bardeen sitting on that ball that was elevated and ties it up.
Bardeen had that big pinch hit 2-run home run last night in the 8th. That just kept LSU from coming back. I mean, they already had the lead, but it just continued to keep LSU down. Now that hit him. Bradford hitting Asaro, and he's on with nobody out.
And here's where you have to be careful for this Irvine team. They hit the home run to tie it up, so now they're back even at 2-2. Free base runners, because now they're going to bunt them over. With Madigan coming up, they're going to try to lay it down. They're not going to move. That's the one constant with most teams on the West Coast. That fastball's inside, breaking ball's inside, whatever it might be. They're not going to move. That time that left knee might have gone in a little bit from Asaro. You cannot afford to give them free bases, because now they'll do everything they can to take advantage of it.
Nobody out for Sean Madigan. Wants to move the runner. Gets the bunt down. Clark will play it. And a great sacrifice bunt by Sean Madigan. And nobody does that better than UC Irvine.
Now, when he puts it in the right spot, too, the third baseman Hollander was already in on the grass and then was charging in from third base. So your best chance to get the base runner out towards second is bunt it over to first. Clark has to stay on the bag to hold the base runner on, so he can't charge that early, even though it's bunted hard. Because Clark was forced to stay back, there's no way he has to play at second base, and Madigan does his job.
Here's Casey Stevenson now. Stevenson rolls it out to short. Tough play for LeMahieu, and he won't have a play. First and third now. And nobody out for UC Irvine as they've got the game tied up here in the 4th and now looking to go ahead.
Little cue shot right there from Stevenson. It was a pretty good pitch. Changeup that was out away from him. Got off the end of his bat. Good decision, too, from LeMahieu. When you don't have a play like this, there's no reason to make a throw. The only thing that can happen are bad things. That ball could go in the dirt. It could get over the head of Clark at first. But if you fake the throw, sometimes you can get that base runner off at third. Little pump fake. Asaro wasn't biting over at third base.
Now here comes Paul Maneri out of the dugout. This UC Irvine team, they were the little darlings of Omaha last year. Question to you is now, after being in Omaha, having a nice run last year and back in the Super Regionals this year, are they still considered the underdog?
I think they were coming in, and I think they definitely were to people that hadn't seen this Irvine team play. Because if you just look at the stats, if you go down and look at the Irvine stats, the pitching stats are very good, but their offensive stats don't jump out. The one thing you got to realize is the ballpark that Irvine plays in, the setting that they play in, as opposed to the ballpark that LSU plays in, are totally different. Not an easy place to hit home runs. In fact, one of the toughest in the entire country. So maybe the pitching numbers are a little bit better than they would be if they're playing at other ballparks, but the hitting numbers are not nearly as good as they have been, and we've seen that translate. They've already hit 3 home runs. Offensively, they've been a real impressive team. They still do the little things, but they can hit the ball out of the ballpark too when they need to.
So Bradford's going to stay in there as Maneri heads back to the dugout. Bradford 54 pitches so far today, 36 strikes. And the sinker ball at times has produced the ground balls that he's been looking for. Of course, this inning, though, Brock Bardeen got one in the air, drove it out of here for a solo home run to tie it up at 2.
And that was really the only mistake that's been hit in the air that's been hit hard. The 2 singles in the 3rd inning from Litton and Orloff were both ground balls.
Darrigish gets it down. Coming home is Bradford. Not in time. In safely is Asaro. And it's 3-2 UC Irvine. And now Maneri wants to argue with home plate umpire Bill Speck.
This is what you see out of West Coast teams, really more so than anybody across the country, is they'll run the safety squeeze. This didn't look like it was a suicide squeeze. I think the base runner Asaro broke late, but they're waiting to see where the ball goes. But when he breaks, that's when he comes into the screen. He's breaking based on when the ball's down. Now he comes in. That's the right call. That front foot got in. Watch him get past Gibbs. He goes to set that left foot on the outside part of the play, but watch the front foot of the base runner Asaro. Tough to see from that angle, but I think that's the right call. Bill Speck right on top of it. Watch that front foot. Slides right in. That is absolutely the right call. The front foot from Asaro got in time. It was the freshman Gibbs that just didn't have that entire plate blocked. Gave Asaro just enough room to get in.
So 2 runs across for Irvine here in the 4th. They lead it now 3-2. And Aaron Lowenstein, the number 9 hitter, comes up. 1 out here in the Irvine 4th. And into center field for a base hit. Coming in is Stevenson. He'll score. Right behind is Darrigish. He's trying to score. Another play at the plate. Not in time. And now going down to second, another play there, and also safe is Lowenstein. And it's 5-2 UC Irvine.
Look at him press the issue. They're hitting and running again. First and second with 1 out. 9-hole hitter at the plate. Both runners in action. Lowenstein does a great job of getting over the second baseman's head, but now it's aggressiveness on the base pass. Darrigish scores all the way from first base. The minute that Gibbs turns around, argued the call briefly, Lowenstein's off from first base, and now he's into second. So it's smart base running, and it's aggressive base running, and then taking advantage when that hit and run's called. They're 2 for 2 so far.
We talked about Lowenstein's defense, and that's the reason he's in the lineup. But the 197 hitter with a couple of hits in the Super Regional, and he just drove in 2 with a big hit there.
We talked with Mike Gillespie the other day. He said, we know it's there. And this is a kid that almost 300 last year. So even though the numbers are different this year, we know he has the ability to swing the bat. He's done it today.
And now the top of the order for UC Irvine, the most dangerous part of the Anteaters lineup. Ollie Linton up there. Swings at this pitch, and he's going to try and dump it into left center field, and does. Coming around is Lowenstein. He's going to try to score. Another play at the plate. Blocking the plate is Micah Gibbs, but Lowenstein is safe. A collision at home plate. Lowenstein wins that battle. And now it's 6-2.
Look at that dugout right now. I mean, a game where LSU had the momentum. They had pulled back ahead. Now Irvine comes back with 5 of their own here in the 4th inning. Little leadoff, man. Ollie Linton getting it done again. Dumps it out into center field. Landry, pretty good throw to home plate. Kind of died when it hit the infield grass. And this time Gibbs does a great job of blocking home plate. Gets out in front. Nowhere for the base runner Lowenstein to go, but he didn't handle it cleanly. And when that ball shot away, left arm, Lowenstein reach over, tap home plate for the 5th run of this inning.
3rd play at the plate in this inning. And UC Irvine leads it 6-2 now. Wow. 4 for 6 with runners in scoring position in game 1. And doing well here today. Ben Orloff now with Linton at second. Orloff 1 for 2 with a single his last time up. Swung on, fouled away. 13 hits last night. 8 already today for UC Irvine. Inside, 1-1, and again you can feel it here in this stadium. The LSU fans have been taken out of it again,
and they were just ready to explode that last half inning. I mean, they were right on the edge of their seats. If ball's in the gap at the right time, or if that ball carries out from Clark and it's a 3-run home run, this place would have erupted. Now they're forced to sit back on their hands.
A ball and a strike to Ben Orlov. Runner goes, swung on, going the other way, past the glove of Clark into right field. Linton will come around to score. What a beautiful hit and run play there again by UC Irvine.
They just do such a good job of simplifying the game. Orlov's done it his last 2 times at the plate. Linton's off and running right here. Second baseman was holding him on, so already that hole on the right side is big enough, and Clark does not move great over at first base. Big at 6'5", but this ball zips right past him. Linton's going to score easily with that speed. Look at all the different ways that they've scored runs today. Leadoff guy gets on, you move him over, end up getting him in. Leadoff guy gets on, hit and run him over, end up getting him in, and then the home run. They can beat you so many different ways offensively.
I think that's why Mike Gillespie takes exception to the small ball label, because his team is more than just that. They're not one-dimensional.
Well, and I mean, when you hear small ball, sometimes you think that a team is not a good offensive team. That's just not the case. They just have the ability to do a lot of different things. They will bunt if you need them to. They can hit and run and can do it with anybody in the country.
Sharply to Hollander, got off his glove, but he can't bring it in. Out into left field. It's a hit for Cusick. Runners at first and second, still 1 out for UC Irvine, and keep an eye on that LSU dugout for Paul Maneri.
Now there's starting to be some action down in that LSU bullpen. There wasn't any up until this point. Really, Bradford, who had been really consistent all game and not giving up a lot of balls that were hard hit, a lot of ground balls and not a lot of balls that were really hard hit, has given up 6 hits in this inning alone.
The only out was Sean Madigan, who was retired, but because of a sacrifice bunt, he gave himself up. So nothing coming easy for Jared Bradford here in the 4th inning, as Brock Bardeen is going to come to the plate. He led off the inning with a solo home run, so the Eaters have batted around. Bardeen, the pinch hit 2-run home run last night in the 8th. A home run here again today. He's 1 for 2 in this game. 280 hitter, 6 home runs now on the season. Bradford sets and delivers a strike on the outside corner. Mike Gillespie knows about the LSU crowd. He coached USC. A couple of teams that lost in the regionals here in 1990 and 1994. He knew taking the crowd out of it, especially early, would be key to their success. He's done it both games.
We're talking about it again today. I mean, that was one of the keys yesterday. You take them out of it, don't give them a chance to really get into it. And it takes a key part of this LSU approach out. That being said, don't count this offense out quite yet. I mean, they can score runs in bunches, especially in a ballpark like this, to where fly balls out to left and left center field today, all of them have a chance to go out.
Coleman and Bertassini are loosening up in the LSU bullpen. Fouled off. Here's what Bardeen did his last time up. Home run number 6 on the year. Small ball, my hat.
Right that wind out to left field. Bardeen, who pinch hit last night and hit a home run. And that home run last night, right through the window of Irvine's athletic director, Mike Izzy, out in right field.
That's
the rental car
hilarious.
today is parked in almost the exact same spot behind the right center field fence.
Nice play by Schimpf to second for one. On to first. Inning-ending double play. And LSU needed that. But a big inning for the Anteaters. They score 6 and lead at 7-2. We'll talk to Ted Silva next. Big 6-run inning for UC Irvine in the fourth. They lead it now 7-2 here as we move to the top of the fifth. And UC Irvine pitching coach Ted Silva joins us now. And Ted, how important is it in the Super Regional to keep this Alex Box Stadium crowd out of the game?
Well, this is going to be an important inning for Danny. He's been pitching out of jams all day long, so we got to get this leadoff hitter as we go to start this inning.
How about offensively? I mean, that last inning, 6 runs, 6 hits, jump all over their starter. What changed? What was good that last inning offensively?
I think we became more aggressive and continued to hit the ball hard on the ground and to start to fall through and find some holes, and that's just how we go.
All right, Ted, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, guys.
There's Ted Silva. Daniel Babona, the Anteaters starter. Now going to inning number 5, he'll face Ryan Schimpf, Mike Hollander, and Jared Mitchell. 9-1-2 here in the LSU 5th inning. And for 23 games, these Tigers had a little bit of pressure on them. You know, once the streak gets to, double digits, there's pressure every time out to keep that streak alive. So they faced pressure before, but now a loss means the end of their season.
That's a little different kind of pressure at this point. At the beginning of that run, the pressure was, we got to play well to make the SEC tournament. Well, once they started, that was obviously out the window. Then it was just a matter of playing to potentially host and playing for a seed, but now you're playing for your season. Strike call on that breaking ball. That was, wow, look where this one is. Lowenstein has to go out and get it. I don't even think he thought that was a strike.
To the second baseman, Stevenson. And Schimpf is retired. LSU has been to the College World Series 13 times with 5 titles, which is tied for 3rd most. Here's a look at the Intimidator. That billboard out in right field, which had a home run clang off of it last night.
You know, we talked about Skip Ertman earlier, and one of the great things, one of the things that Skip was so great at was the mental side of the game. He was an incredible teacher, but the mental side of the game, Skip was kind of a leader in the college game, and that's the kind of stuff that jumps out to you. It might not seem like that big of a deal, that sign out in right field. But the minute you walk in here, the whole game, you look out to that billboard and you see 5 national titles staring you in the face.
Right.
That kind of stuff makes a difference. I mean, it's just a nice, gentle reminder of where you are and who you're playing.
It's been a tough series for Hollander. He lifts this one to center. Ollie Litton has it measured, has to back off because of that win, brings it in. And the Tigers have 2 outs here in the 5th. The NCAA Baseball Championship and the road to Omaha continues with Super Regional coverage on ESPN2 tonight. You'll see number 3 Arizona State taking on Fresno State. Road to Omaha Super Regionals presented on ESPN by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN2 tonight at 10 Eastern. Check your local listing for the game in your area. And now here's Jared Mitchell. Fouls that one back to the screen. It's been a tough couple of games here for the Tigers at the top of the order, and going to need to turn that around. Hollander retired again on that last flyout. He's 0 for 2 now with a sacrifice bunt. And 0 for the series.
It's been another aggressive approach, too, for these UC Irvine pitchers. They're not out there throwing 95 miles an hour, but they're really using the fastball well. Gorgon did it yesterday. Babonet's done it today. Fastballs inside, late in the count, away early in the count, and then using the off-speed stuff, that good breaking ball from Babona to try to stretch the zone.
Mitchell didn't want to. Rolled out to the first baseman, Cusick. He'll flip it to Babona, and Mitchell is safe. He has got some speed down that line. Also a wide receiver on the LSU football team, and he beat it out.
And Baton was just a step slow getting off of first base. You could see just a little hesitation with a guy that has the speed of Mitchell. You can't do that. Watch out first. He was falling off to the third base side. That was enough to give Mitchell a chance. And bang, bang play at first. It's the right foot of Mitchell. Ah, that's close. Both of them got there right about the same time. Mitchell get down to first base line. He can really run. Scored a touchdown in the spring game this year for the LSU football team. Looks to play a more active role this year.
And take this for what it's worth, but LSU hasn't had a lot of breaks, and for a change, this one goes their way.
And you know what? I mean, that one's so close, too. I mean, you know, both feet are getting almost the exact same time. I don't think anybody has good enough eyes to see that in normal motion and consistently make what is always the right call. I think that one's close enough. It can go either way, and neither side should really have much problem with it.
2 out, man on. Here's Derek Helenihi now. Ball and a strike. Inside. Throw down from Lowenstein, and in safely is Mitchell with a stolen base.
I like the approach right here from Paul Maneri, because too many teams get behind and then they start to play station-to-station baseball. With a guy that has the speed of Mitchell, you cannot take the stolen base out of the equation. And this one's tight, too. I mean, watch that left arm got in there just in time, and a pretty good tag out there, too. Ball was just a little bit late. It was a good throw from Lowenstein, but an even better break by Mitchell off first base.
Runner in scoring position now for Helenihi. Swung on it, fouled back. 2-2. Jared Mitchell, who's out at second, he missed a lot of the spring because of his football duties, but when he finally got back, he became a fixture again in that LSU lineup. And coincidentally, that's when LSU started that streak of 23 straight wins. Inside, it's now 3-2.
Spent a lot of his time with that football team during the regular spring football season. The minute it was over, then could devote all his time to baseball. You could see his approach really get a lot better during that time. He's going to go to the Cape this summer too and spend some time there before spring football starts. I think it's important to get out there with a wood bat among some of the best players in the country and really continue to develop the game of baseball with him.
Swing and a miss, and Babona got him. 4th strikeout for Dan Babona. And Helenihi is 0 for 3. It's 7-2 Irvine.
Now here's a fresh idea. Introducing Papa John's new whole wheat crust. Fresh, hand-tossed dough made with 100% whole.
7-2 UC Irvine over LSU as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. And head coach Paul Maneri of the Tigers is with us now. And coach, what's it going to take for your team to get back in this one?
Well, I tell you, their kid is real crafty. You know, we're just going to have to keep trying to put up good at bats, and we need to slow them down. You know, we wanted to stay away from a big inning there. We tried to make the play at the plate on that safety squeeze and didn't make it, and then you know, big inning. So we just got to regroup here and hope we hold them right now and have some good at bats.
Paul, from your standpoint, what changed that inning with Bradford? Because the swings from Irvine there, obviously 6 hits in that inning. What was different?
Well, you know, he got a couple of pitches up and out over the plate. You know, his forte is to keep the ball down and in on the right-handed hitters, and that hit and run with runners on first and second. He got the ball up a little bit. But we probably should have, as coaches, done a better job of holding the runner there. So, you know, he's doing a good job. They're just hitting him where we aren't. And it's, you know, they're playing their game to the fullest, and they're a good team.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Paul.
Let's get back to work. So it's Tony Asaro, Sean Madigan, and Casey Stevenson here for Irvine. They batted around last inning. 5, 6, and 7 to hit here in the 5th. Asaro, he's 1 for 2 already today. A foul back to the screen. 1 strike here, Jared Bradford. Trying to have a better inning here. Ryan Verdugo had a tough outing yesterday. Went 5 innings, but what got him in trouble were the walks. Today, for Bradford, it's just that Irvine has been getting hits.
They have been, and you know, Paul said it right there too. And it wasn't, I don't think it was the wrong play. When they went home on that safety squeeze, it was just, it took a little bit too much time for Bradford to get it out of his glove. And then Gibbs wasn't able to get the whole plate block. It just changes the whole course of the inning. If they get the guy at the plate on that play right there, you've got 2 outs. Only 1 run has come in to score, and it's an entirely different inning as opposed to the guy scoring. You don't get anybody out. Now there's 1 out, guys on first and second. They've only put 2 runs on the board.
Chopper to third. Hollander waits for it to come down. Strong throw, and he's got a great arm at third base. A shortstop last year made the move to third base this year, and he has been solid at the hot corner.
Yeah, and I think a kid, too, when he gets into pro ball, is probably going to go back to shortstop. You show this kind of arm. I mean, that is a cannon over to first base. Matt Clark at 6'5" or at first base had to go up to get it just a little bit, but that's plenty of arm to go play the shortstop position.
Sean Madigan, a ground out in the sacrifice bunt. He hits with 1 out. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. Madigan, part of that sophomore class, which has really stepped up its play this year for UC Irvine. Had a great regional in Lincoln last week, went 6 for 10. And against Oral Roberts in the title game, had a career high 5 runs batted in. And there's Hollander busy again over at third, 2 down.
Hollander just right man, right spot there, was playing even at the bag to respect Madigan, who will lay it down if you're playing back. No time to react. If you're 2 steps off to one side or another, that ball's probably out in the left field, but he was positioned perfectly.
It's exactly what the doctor ordered for Jared Bradford. A couple of quick outs. Now he needs to get the third here. It's Stevenson at the plate, the second baseman, a couple of hits. Take strike 1. Bradford's out of Hueytown, Alabama. And Paul Maneri calls him Saint Jared because he's such a good kid.
I loved it when we talked to him the other day. It was just the quiet confidence. He was talking about how he approaches the game and what the goal would be today. It's the furthest thing from cocky, but you could definitely see the confidence that was there, and it should be. I mean, a guy that's really done everything on the mound for LSU in his time here, has been a closer and was great there, has been a starter, has won 20 games, over 20 games since stepping onto campus, so there should be some quiet confidence in place.
Called strike 3. Second strikeout for Jared Bradford. 1-2-3 inning. Irvine done in the 5th. They lead it though 7-2.
That 4th inning, it all started with the solo home run. At LSU though continues to struggle at the top of that order. 3 for 23. The top 3 guys in the lineup, and Irvine 8 for 12 with runners in scoring position in the series.
That's our Coke Zero game track. And we've got a new left fielder in the game for Irvine. It's Dylan Bell. As Tony Asaro is done for the day.
We saw this yesterday. Bell came in. Defensive replacement when Irvine gets ahead. The left-hander very good out in left field. Now you've got between Bell and left, Linton in center, and Madigan over on right. One heck of an outfield for Irvine.
Here's Blake Dean now. Showed signs of coming out of his slump last time up. Got a hit, came around to score a run. Swings at this pitch. I don't know that he meant to. Strike 1. Blake Dean, 19 home runs on the year. He and Matt Clark have been a devastating offensive combo. Flails at that one. He's down in the count 0-2, but so far in this super regional, Dean has been quiet.
He looks real pull happy right now. That front foot, front shoulders flying wide open, and there's no way they're going to give him anything on the inside half right here. You got to stay away.
Laid off that pitch 1-2. When he came to campus, Dean was a pitcher, and Paul Maneri saw him in the batting cage and said, "Who is that guy?" They said, "Oh, that's Blake Dean. He's a pitcher." Not anymore. He's not.
Pretty good his first 2 years here. 26 combined home runs.
2-2.
See him after that last swing, kind of patted that front shoulder, or excuse me, the front knee. Remind himself to keep the front side closed. I still think, though, you stay with that breaking ball out away from him until he proves he can hit the ball the other way.
Good at bat here for Dean after falling behind 0-2. He's worked a full count. Babona now with 4 strikeouts. Struck out Helenihi to end the 5th inning. And gets Dean here to start the 6th. 1 down. The NCAA Baseball Championship and the Rodomo continues with Super Regional coverage on ESPN2 tonight. It's going to be either Rice and Texas or Miami and Arizona. The Rodomo Super Regionals presented on ESPN by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN2 tonight at 7 Eastern. Check your local listing for the game in your area. So 1 down from Micah Gibbs as LSU needs a spark.
They do. They just need something. They got to string together 2 or 3 and get that offensive feeling back in that LSU dugout.
How about Gibbs? 5'11", 223 pounds, built more like a fullback than anything else. And there was a collision at home plate in that 4th inning for UC Irvine.
It was Lowenstein.
I think it was Lowenstein.
He just bounced.
And
bounced right off.
Lowenstein just got the worst of it, but the ball came loose. And Lowenstein was able to score. Called strike 3. Gibbs goes down. 3rd straight strikeout for Babona. And they're 2 away.
Well, Babona's got a little Glavin to him, and that's the greatest thing about Glavin is the ability to surprise in on the right-handers when you need to. Look at this ball. It just sticks on the inside corner of the plate. Lowenstein moves in there. Babona hits the spot, and the key is it stays right there. It doesn't trickle back over the middle of the plate. Throws that 4-seamer. Sometimes can cut it on the inside part of the plate to right-handers, and it's been real consistent.
Swing and a miss from Matt Clark as Babona is really dialed in here in the 6th inning. Clark hit a ball that I think everybody in the stadium thought was out of here. His last time up. Madigan couldn't handle it in right. It ended up being a double. And it's just the way that the breaks have gone for LSU this weekend. That one is just foul. If that ball gets out of here, that is a big inning for LSU, and it maybe changes things a bit. As it turns out, they're snake bit again, and Irvine has a big inning the following at bat for Irvine.
Look at the turning points in this game. It's that right there. If that ball goes out, you get the crowd back in it. Obviously, it's a 3-run home run in the end. They only scored 1 in the inning. And then the safety squeeze, which seems like such a basic play. But they're a little bit late getting the ball to the plate. The inning continues to go, and Irvine ends up scoring 6 in the inning, and now they strike out the side here in the 6th.
4 straight strikeouts now for Babona. He's got 7 in the game. Dean goes down. Gibbs goes down. And so does Matt Clark. 7-2 Irvine.
Scored 25 in games 2 and 3.
Jared Bradford coming out to start the 6th. Had a much better 5th inning after a terrible 4th. Hit well to left field, but right at Jared Mitchell, 1 down. Bradford now 5 1/3 innings. He's given up 7 earned runs on 10 hits, a couple of strikeouts. But that 4th inning is really the difference in this game right now.
It's absolutely the difference. I mean, you take that out and he's thrown the ball really well. But that inning, Irvine did such a good job of just piecing different things together. The leadoff home run by Bardeen got everything started. A couple base runners on, a couple hit and runs. They run a safety squeeze and do about everything they possibly can offensively, and did it all very well that inning.
Aaron Lowenstein to hit now. Takes ball 1. You know, this guy deserves a lot of credit. And that's not just for running into Micah Gibbs and living to tell about it, but also for his perseverance with this UC Irvine program, as he is the only member of that roster to have played for all 3 head coaches in the new Division I era. John Savage, Dave Serrano, and now Mike Gillespie.
About the short amount of time, too, that this program has been rebuilt. John Savage started things when he got there in 2002. Then Dave Serrano obviously continued things on, took them to their first College World Series last year, and what was a run that really few expected. They were a 3 seed in the regional in Austin, Texas, blew through that, won at Wichita. Now this year have just continued the run.
Lowenstein chops this one over the top of the Irvine dugout. 2 balls and a strike.
And they've done it in this exact same way. This is the same team they wore last year. Different names, different faces, but same approach. When asked to, they can put the bunt down, they can move guys over, they can hit and run. They take the extra base, aggressive on the base pass, and they pitch. It's been a great recipe.
Hit to center. Coming over Landry. Dives and makes another great catch. Oh my! Leon Landry for the 2nd straight game making a highlight reel catch.
It's going to be on SportsCenter back-to-back nights. This one looks like he has no chance when this ball comes off the bat. Shaking just a little bit to right center, and this ball's carrying out to left center. Full extension. Kind of does a pirouette in the air, too. Watch him pop to his feet. How athletic is this? Wow. That's a freshman center fielder. Last night robbed a home run. This time takes away a double in the gap.
We got to see it again. That is unbelievable.
When he comes out of nowhere, it's one of those you kind of give up on. Look down at your scorebook, try to write down double, and he's flying through the air, making another catch.
Ollie Linton now with 2 outs, the top of the UC Irvine order. One more time. Look at that elevation.
But then watch this. I mean, he lands on his back and pops onto his feet. I mean, that's just about as impressive.
Popped up. Center field, Landry. There again. This time it's going to be routine. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jared Bradford. And it looks like Ollie Linton is hurt. The leadoff hitter for the Anteaters is down. We'll check on him when we come back. Ballpark that people are going to remember for a long time. Ground ball to short, and it rolls up over the top of Ben Orloff's glove into left center field for a leadoff hit for DJ LeMahieu.
What they need.
0-2. It's a 3-2 count now to Landry. Crowd getting behind it. Swung on, hit in the air to center field. There is Ollie Linton. And he makes the catch. Let's go to the studio for an update with Mike Gleason. Swing and a miss. And Ryan Schimpf will take a long, slow walk back to the dugout. To third. Darragish to first. And another good inning for Daniel Babona. A leadoff hit for the Tigers, but they strand the runner at 7-2 Irvine. It's eluded him so far.
They just haven't had the big hit. I mean, that spot that you need somebody to hit it into the gap or drive it into the parking lot. You just haven't been able to do it.
Strikeout, number 1 for Lewis Coleman as Orloff goes down. Second.
To me, it's tough to take Babona out.
Popped up.
So good so far. Mark handles it for the 2nd out of this inning.
Couple of home runs. Nice play by Hollander to cut that one off. Coleman out of the bullpen has a 1-2-3 inning. LSU will send Mitchell. Last night, Scott Gorgon gave the Anteaters 6 2/3 of 1-run ball. Struck out 8. He's now 12-3 on the year, and Irvine is hoping that he'll pitch again in Omaha. And Dan Babona here in Game 2 has been brilliant. Jared Mitchell, Derek Helenihi, and Blake Dean to hit for the Tigers here in the 8th as they're down to their last 6 outs, trailing by 5. You see Mitchell, a good day at the plate, 2 for 3. And he'll send this one foul. Babona named to the all-regional team after beating Nebraska. He held the Cornhuskers to 2 runs on 4 hits over a career-high 8 innings last Saturday. Now on Sunday, a little over a week later, he's working into the 8th again. That pitch misses high. It's now a ball and 2 strikes to Mitchell.
Against an LSU team you just expected to come out offensively and be ready to go, and they were. scored early, put one on the board in the second, took the lead. But Babona's just been real consistent all the way through, and then the bats of Irvine gave him a big lead.
To left field and hit well. Going back. Dylan Bell looks up and it is gone. A leadoff home run for Jared Mitchell. And maybe LSU has something started here in the 8th inning as it's now a 4-run lead for UC Irvine.
They're not going to go away. You know it with this LSU team. They've been through too much. You win 23 games in a row and come back the amount of times that they did. You know there's some toughness over in that LSU dugout. Great approach, though, from Mitchell. Left on left, you know that Babona's going to try to stay away, and this time he just goes with it. Gets it airborne out to left center, rides that wind, and now puts LSU back within 4 runs here in the 8th inning.
And now we're going to get a pinch hitter for LSU. Chris McGee. Right-handed hitter to go against Babona. McGee hitting in the 3rd spot in the order. Helenihi went 0 for 3 today with a couple of strikeouts, so McGee will try and get on here in a pinch hitting situation in the 8th. And he'll take a strike. 1-1. This one is lifted to left field and deep. Going back again as Bell looks up and makes the catch. This time right at the base of the wall in left center field as the pinch hitter Chris McGee almost rode one out of here.
That's just kind of the way the last 2 days have been for this LSU team. I mean, a ball where it looks like they might go back-to-back, and this crowd would have gone crazy if they go back-to-back right here. Dylan Bell, who came in for defensive purposes a couple innings ago, with his back to the wall, makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And now Ted Silva, the pitching coach for this UC Irvine team, will slowly make his way out to the mound, and that might do it for Babona, who has been great today.
Tom Callahan, who pitched 2/3 of an inning in last night's game, appears to be the choice out of the Irvine bullpen. He gave up 1 run on 1 hit last night through just 12 pitches. So we knew he would be available, and that is indeed who is coming in. Tom Callahan, left-hander out of Mission Viejo, California. As LSU has put up a run here in the 8th inning on a solo home run from Jared Mitchell. We'll talk more about Callahan when we come back. There is Tom Callahan, the left-hander, coming on for the 2nd time in the Super Regional. Daniel Babona, 7 1/3, did a great job in his out.
Did a great job. I'll turn it over to another left-hander. Callahan went 2/3 in winning last night, gave up 1 earned run, but the approach here against Dean is breaking balls away.
And he starts Blake Dean with a strike. Babona threw 105 pitches, gave Irvine exactly what they were looking for. Went deep into this game. The 2nd straight week Babona works into the 8th. Outside and in the dirt, Blake Dean has been quiet in this Super Regional, but his bat can wake up in a hurry. You can see the numbers he's put up this year. 19 home runs and 66 driven in. Base is empty here for LSU with 1 out in the 8th. Again, looked like he was trying to pull it.
Yeah, the approach has just been the exact same thing in both games, and if it's going to stay that way, Irvine's going to keep doing the exact same thing. Go soft away and force that front shoulder. Watch. See the front shoulder and the front hip open wide up. When that happens, there's no way that you can cover the outside part of the plate aggressively because you're trying to pull everything. The approach right here for Dean has to be use left center field. He just has not shown the ability to do it so far in this series.
A ball and 2 strikes. Down 2-2, and Callahan is what you would call a situational lefty. Called in here to face Dean, a left-hander. Is this perhaps the only hitter he's going to face?
Potentially, but they could leave him in there because they want him to face Clark a couple batters now. So they might leave him in against a switch hitting Gibbs and then potentially face Clark as well.
The 2-2. That goes high, so Dean works a full count. Micah Gibbs on deck for LSU. As the Tigers are looking for base runners, they would like to have a couple on when Clark comes up down the line. Just missed off the inside part of the plate. And Dean coaxes a walk here against Callahan, and here's another look.
Well, they're trying to go breaking ball, but they're definitely not trying to go in. And when your catcher Lowenstein has to reach that far, there's no way you're going to get a call. It's close on the inside corner. I think that pitch was off anyway, but the bottom line is you're throwing breaking ball to a left-hander. You're trying to go away. That pitch just got away from Callahan a little bit and hung inside.
And now a pinch hitter for LSU, it's Sean Ochinko, who started the season as the team's #1 catcher, but Micah Gibbs really emerged in late March, so he lost his job. He's been coming off the bench a little bit here in the postseason. And the Tigers looking for a big pinch hit from Ochinko as he hits in the 8th with 1 out.
I like this move right here, too, by Paul Maneri. Micah Gibbs, as good as he's been offensively, does not have a ton of power. Well, Ochinko does. He was one of the top power hitters in the Cape Cod League last summer.
Takes low and outside, a ball and no strikes to Ochinko. 4 home runs on the year, 20 driven in. 2007 All-SEC freshman team, so Ochinko has experience. The sophomore out of Parkland, Florida. As LSU trying to get back in this one, they've got a solo home run already here in the 8th. Trying to go the other way, fouled it back. Ochinko had a game-winning single in the bottom of the 15th to beat New Orleans on May 13th. That was their 13th win in a row at that time as Ted Silva comes out of the UC Irvine dugout, and that might be all for Callahan.
It is going to be all for Callahan. I think the decision process in that Irvine dugout was, do we leave him out there, take a chance with Ochinko because we want the left-hander to face Matt Clark, or do we take him out now? In the end, they go to the right-hander.
So Callahan comes out. 1 out in the 8th, 7-3 Irvine. UC Irvine going to their closer, Eric Pettis, his 31st appearance on the year. He inherits a 1-1 count on Sean Ochinko, who fouls this one off third base side. It's now 1-2.
First pitch slider right there from Pettis, and that's what you see a lot of. A good fastball. It has a short arm action too, so it's not easy to pick up for the hitters. That slider's what he'll go to late in the count. First pitch here comes in and inherits a 1-1 count. Now is ahead on Ochinko, 1-2.
Pettis 50 strikeouts on the year. Named first team All Big West. To third. Deragish got Ochinko. Big out for Eric Pettis out of the bullpen. 2 away.
Giant to get that first out, and that's exactly why the decision was made on that UC Irvine dugout. You tried to decide, do we leave Callahan because we want the left-hander to face Matt Clark, but in the end I think they thought it was more important, let's get Ochinko and then worry about Clark when we need to. A couple sliders from Pettis gets him the second out.
Eric Pettis, he has really taken over nicely in the closer role, where All-American closer Blair Erickson left off last year for UC Irvine. Clark, first pitch swinging, dumps it into right field. Coming around is Blake Dean. He'll score, and just like that, it is 7-4. LSU within 3.
Clark swung a hot bat the last couple days. A double yesterday, a double earlier today that looked like it was going to carry out. This one he's fooled on. It's a slider that hangs out over the course of the plate. But it's a good job, gets those hands extended. He can really pull the length of the plate too. He's really done it in almost every at bat here. It's not hit very hard, so Dean scores easily.
2 outs for LeMahieu. A couple of hits today and a run batted in. LeMahieu 1 for 3 with a home run last night. And this could get real interesting here late in this ball game. LeMahieu's home run last night went off the Intimidator billboard in right field. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Chop to third, short hop. Daragish fields it clean. Pulled up and out of the dirt over at first by Jeff Cusick. Big play by Daragish and Cusick to get Irvine out of the 8th inning. Here's another look.
Daragish has been so solid over at third base, and Cusick picks up his third baseman right there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. UC Irvine leading 7-4 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. And now it's time for our Pontiac game-changing performance. And we've talked about Aaron Lowenstein, the catcher for Irvine, how good defensively he is. A couple of big throwouts in this game that really kept the momentum on Irvine's side.
And set the defensive tone early, too. Lowenstein just does everything right back behind the plate for this Irvine team. Unless you get a little bit too aggressive on a base pass early, and Lowenstein erased 2 base runners that could have really changed the way that this game broke down.
Dylan Bell will lead off the 8th inning for UC Irvine, followed by Madigan and Stevenson. Couple of new players defensively in the game for LSU. In right field, there's Johnny Deshawn. And behind the plate, Sean Ochenko, who was called on to pinch hit last inning. He stays in behind the plate. Pitch down and inside. A ball and a strike here to Bell. Since that big 4th inning, UC Irvine has been held in check. That is the difference in this contest. The Anteaters with a huge inning, scoring 6 runs. Swing and a miss.
We heard Paul Maneri talk about it when we talked to him earlier in the game. He said we had to keep Irvine from getting the big inning. And those 6 runs in the 4th inning are really the difference in this ballgame.
After 6 runs on 7 hits against the LSU starter tonight, Jared Bradford. He is no longer in this game. Ground ball out to second. And Schimpf over to Clark, 1 down. Lewis Coleman, it's obvious that he has got some talent. He has been brought in to keep Irvine off the board here, to give LSU a chance to get back in the game. LSU got 2 in the 8th. But again, a couple of good defensive plays there toward the end of that inning. Gets Irvine out of the jam.
Derek has just been good over at third base, and Cusick picked him up over at first. Now you start counting outs. If you're Irvine, just 3 away, and you start to defend a little bit different. You might give a little bit on the base pass to get an out.
1 out for Sean Madigan. Lifts it in the air to right center field. Coming on is Landry, and called off by Deshawn. 2 down. The Arizona State Sun Devils and the Fresno State Bulldogs. The Road to Omaha Super Regional coverage presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN, coming up tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Offense was there last night for the Sun Devils. Put up 12. First night against Fresno State. Now trying to go back-to-back to Omaha.
Now here's Stevenson. Irvine getting to Omaha for the first time last year. And they are 3 outs away from going back again this season. In on the hands for Stevenson. Lifts it into foul ground left field. Coming over Jared Mitchell to make the running grab. LSU down 3. They need 3 to tie. Could be the last time they hit in this old ballpark. Alex Box Stadium coming to its feet for the Tigers in the 9th. The Tigers are hoping this is not their last at-bat in this old ballpark. They need 3 to tie. Down 7-4 as we go to the top of the 9th in Game 2 of this Super Regional. UC Irvine won last night. A win here today gets them back to Omaha for the 2nd straight year. Leon Landry leads off and takes a ball high. Landry, Schimpf in the top of the order for the Tigers. Landry 0 for 3 with a strikeout. But a great catch out in center field earlier today. And he's ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. This ballpark opened up in 1938. A lot of great memories here. It's been the home for 5 College World Series championship teams. And the crowds have always been very supportive of the Tigers over the years here. And they are behind their Tigers now, hoping for a rally here in the top of the 9th. Tigers want to be back here tomorrow, Kyle. It's just been a tough super regional all around for LSU.
It has, but they're not done yet. 3 outs to play with here in the 9th inning. The crowd on their feet.
And a leadoff walk for Leon Landry. Here's a look at our Coke Zero game trap.
For the Anteaters, 6 runs on 6 hits in 1 inning. That was the 4th inning. Matt Clark has really had a great series for LSU. 4 for 7, a couple of RBIs. Irvine 8 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And the pitching staff for Irvine, to me, has been the biggest game changer. Scott Gorgon was great yesterday. Went 6 2/3, held this LSU offense down, and Daniel Babona was more the same today.
For the first time in this super regional, Mike Gillespie comes out of the dugout to go to the pitching mound. Usually Ted Silva, the Anteaters pitching coach, makes the trip, but Gillespie comes out this time around.
See how fired up he was? Goes out there, he's fired up, and he's trying to get his guys fired up. All you're trying to do right here is neutralize the crowd. That's it. That's the only reason you go out right here. The crowd's starting to get into it. They're on their feet. Mike Gillespie knows the way that this game is played. He's done it for a long time, and is just trying to neutralize the crowd in this spot. Take him out of it as much as he can. The problem is they're probably going to jump on him pretty good. And he can get his 2 cents in with the home plate umpire right there. He's always standing up for his guys. He's always been that way.
Mike Gillespie spent 20 seasons as USC's head coach, National Coach of the Year in '98 when the Trojans won a national title. His goal was to be a head coach again in California after a 1-year absence where he spent a season coaching in the Yankees system. He's back as a head coach and trying to get Irvine back to the College World Series.
If you're LSU right now, the goal is to get to Dean. If you get to Blake Dean, you got a chance to tie this thing or potentially go ahead.
Strike into Schimpf.
Looked like Schimpf might have been taking a strike out of the 9-hole right there. Didn't look very aggressive in that first pitch, and that might not be a bad approach. Pettis, who's been a little bit wild since coming in. You walk the leadoff hitter, go ahead and take one.
Breaking pitch comes back in for strike 2. Eric Pettis, the closer on for UC Irvine, trying to nail this one down. Schimpf, the number 9 hitter, trying to get aboard. Swung on and hit into right field. Landry around second. He'll head for third. He is going to be held up there. A double for Schimpf. Runners at second and third, and nobody out for LSU in the 9th.
Here they come. You knew it was going to happen at some point. Waited a while on the 9th inning with nobody out, but this is just too good of a pitch. 0-2. Ryan Schimpf, talk about how good of a 9-hole hitter this is, but you give him a chance when you elevate a breaking ball 0-2. Obviously not trying to go there. They're trying to wrap it around his feet, but it stays up. Schimpf puts a great swing on it. Now LSU back to the top of the order with Hollander.
Sold out Alex Box Stadium on its final weekend. And now the top of the order in Hollander, who has been quiet in this super regional. Swings at the first pitch and misses. Strike 1. Hollander, 5 home runs on the year. He represents the tying run. And you see, with runners in scoring position in this series, advantage Irvine.
We talked about the struggles of the top half of this LSU lineup, specifically 1 through 3. This is where Hollander needs to come through.
Off the end of his bat to deep short. Orloff, not in time, bases loaded. And now the go-ahead run comes to the plate in Jared Mitchell.
And now, because of the visit earlier on in this inning by Mike Gillespie, you can't go back to the mound. And I don't disagree. I think he went out at the right time. But now bases loaded, nobody out at a time where you'd like to go out and stem the momentum. At this point, you can't. Because if he goes out, he's got to take Pettis out of the ballgame.
Mitchell, 3 hits today, including a solo home run last inning. Called for time. It wasn't granted by home plate umpire Bill Speck. Strike 1. And now Paul Maneri's out of the dugout again.
Now, you don't have to give him timeout, but I think this is plenty early enough. Bill Speck doesn't give it, and I'm telling you what, this is Paul Maneri's going to go crazy right here. As you talk about changing potential the course of the inning. The bottom line is the home plate umpire doesn't have to give it. If you think it's too late, and this one's close enough, it's a judgment call. But that will get him fired up here.
The umpires have been very busy in this Super Regional, very visible, you might say, in the last 2 games.
You know what? If it's the second inning, there's nobody on base, nobody really cares about this one. In the 9th inning with the bases loaded and nobody out, then obviously it's going to cause a whole lot of stir. Now, if you're Mitchell at this point, you can't give up on it. If you ask for it, you don't get it. You still got to be ready to hit. I don't think he'd have been swinging at that first pitch breaking ball anyway.
Bases loaded. Nobody out for the Tigers. The 0-1 pitch from Pettis, swung on and missed, 0-2. Nick Pontiff is on deck for LSU. It looks like he is going to pinch hit in the number 3 spot in this order. Mitchell granted time, and the crowd reacts. There's Pontiff. Outside, 1-2. Mitchell hit his 6th home run of the year last inning. Check this swing. No appeal down to David Wiley at 3rd. He says no, he didn't. Good 2-2.
Tough pitch to take, too. Little breaking ball that they're trying to wrap around his foot. They threw it in the exact spot that they wanted to, but Mitchell did a good job of laying off.
2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Way outside, and a great play by Aaron Lowenstein to make the catch on that pitch.
We saw this when Pettis came in to warm up. It was last inning, but all of the fastballs were missing up and away to the left-handed hitter. His front shoulder was flying. He was too excited, and now it's starting to come back in. He held his emotions in check when he came out in the 8th. Threw a couple breakables to get out of the inning, but now it's creeping back in, and the crowd's back in it. The emotions are getting high. This is where you got to take a deep breath and try to slow everything down because the game's just moving too fast for Pettis right now.
3-2 count and nowhere to put Mitchell. Missed it. Walks a run in. And it's 7-5. Base hit will tie this baby up.
And we talked a minute ago about Mike Gillespie not being able to go back to the mound, and earlier in the game about Ben Orloff and Ollie Litton and the guys that had organized the team practices in the beginning of the year. There's Orloff right now playing coach. Going to the mound, taking the opportunity to try to settle Pettis down in this spot, knowing that his coach can't come out and do it himself. But that's the kind of leadership that there is on this Irvine team. Orloff knowing the spot, knowing that he has to play coach in this spot because they can't take another visit to the mound.
Chris McGee pinch hit for Derek Helenihi in the 8th inning. Now Pontiff comes to the plate in this spot. Eric Pettis having a hard time finding the strike zone.
He's just too excited. And you see this when guys get in a spot like this. He's trying to do too much, and he's missing in the same spot every time. Up and into the right-hander because everything's going too fast.
There's the strike. You just saw Christian Bergman warming up in the UC Irvine bullpen. Big swing and a miss on the breaking pitch. And it's now 1-2 to the pinch hitter, Nick Pontiff, as LSU is trying to force a Game 3 tomorrow in the Super Regional Series. Down 7-5, 2 runs across in the 8th inning. 1 here in the 9th for the Tigers. Pontiff to third. And Derrigish steps on the bag at third, but a run scores at 7-6. As UC Irvine gets the first out of the inning.
Pontiff puts it in play, and that's the key right here to 1-2 count. It's not an easy play for Derrigish, and then he kind of loses his footing. No chance to throw a Pontiff, who has pretty good speed at first base, but they do get the runner at third base, which keeps the double play in order. That's the key right here. A hard ground ball that still ended for Irvine.
And now the very dangerous Blake Dean coming up. He has had a tough time at the plate.
Just get the feeling that this might be his time to break out. He has not had a good series so far, but Paul Maneri said he's been our most clutch hitter the whole season.
Breaking ball, strike 1. Dean, a strikeout victim once today, struck out 3 times yesterday. 0 for 5 in last night's game. He does have a hit today and a run score. Came back in the 4th inning. A base hit could tie this one up. Outside.
The difference in the at-bats for Dean up to this point and now is Irvine has had somebody on the mound can throw him something soft away, so it's moving away, and the inability to keep that front shoulder, and he couldn't stay on it. Pettis can't do that.
Breaking pitch into right field, base hit. Here comes the tying run. And LSU has tied it up here in the 9th.
They came back and went off speed, but watch what this ball does. It comes back in to Blake Dean, and that's the key. If it's off speed going away, he hasn't been able to keep that front shoulder in, but when that off speed comes back over the plate, it plays right back into his swing. Caught enough of the plate, he stayed on it, and there is no chance you're going to throw Mitchell out at home plate. LSU, whose offense had not been around the last 17 innings, comes to life here in the 9th and ties it.
And now Sean Ochinko, who was a pinch hitter last inning, comes up. Base hit, and LSU leads.
Everything's starting to spin. Now they're starting to get the hops again. This is a tough ballpark, and it's real hard in front of home plate. Derrigish, who's been so good over at third base, is playing even with the bag. Ochinko knocks it right in front of home plate and bounces right over Derrigish's head. Nothing he can do, and then LSU takes the extra base. Ochinko into second base, and Dean into third. Now they'll put Matt Clark on. Big, powerful 6-hole hitter for LSU, and load the bases for the freshman LeMahieu.
Unbelievable. LSU with 4 runs here in the top of the 9th. As these fans want to see another game in this old ballpark. They don't want to close it down today.
Not ready to go home yet. You know, if there was a way to close this thing out, this is it. You just have the feeling that something special was going to happen. There's been too many memorable games at this ballpark, too many teams that have done things that will go down in college baseball. You just had the feeling something special was going to happen today.
Third walk for Pettis, that one intentional. Now Ted Silva will call on Bergman from the bullpen. runs in the top of the ninth for LSU. They have the lead now, 8-7, and not done in the ninth.
To represent the Coke.
Alex Box Stadium is going nuts. 4 runs across for LSU in the top of the ninth. And they still have just 1 out, and the bases remain loaded as Christian Bergman comes on for Irvine.
Bergman, who pitched yesterday for this UC Irvine team over the course of the year, has primarily been their setup guy. You see the stuff. 34 strikeouts in 55 innings, so it's not overpowering, but he does throw a ton of strikes. Obviously not the guy that Mike Gillespie wanted to go to, but they have to get out of this inning, because remember, Irvine still hits in the bottom half of the inning. If Bergman can get him out, only trailing by 1, they've got a chance.
LSU with 28 come from behind wins this season. Many of them during that 23-game winning streak. They've got the lead now. Breaking pitch to DJ LeMahieu, sails inside from Bergman. Bergman last night pitched the 9th inning and had a 1-2-3 inning. LeMahieu a couple of hits tonight. This is down 2-0. LeMahieu, the 9th Tiger to bat here in the 9th. As they have chased Eric Pettis, the Anteaters closer from this game. Two and 1. This is what Alex Box Stadium is all about in this summer. And now Mike Gillespie is out of the UC Irvine dugout, making a defensive change.
I think Ollie Linton's cramping up again out in center field. That's a long time to stand, and I think that's the move. He's not going to want to come out right here, but you can see that left leg cramping up. Got to stand this long in this kind of an inning. You can see him come in, and it's just, you can't get past it.
So Derigish is going to move out to center. Linton is coming out. And a new third baseman in there, Josh Tavelli, will come into play third. There's Tavelli. It has been a long inning in this heat for UC Irvine.
Now where this comes in, Ollie Linton's due up third for this UC Irvine team in the bottom half of the 9th inning. So not only do you lose him defensively, you lose the most consistent offensive player and the guy that can really turn things around on the bases.
This crowd has been on its feet most of the 9th inning. A 2-1 count to LeMahieu. Outside 3-1, and again, nowhere to put the hitter. Foul back. 3-2 now. Leon Landry is on deck. He started this inning with a leadoff walk. Nothing has fazed this rookie, DJ LeMahieu. He has been clutch so many times for the Tigers this year. And again fights one off.
With all the momentum change and everything that's gone LSU's way, I think the one thing to remember right here if you're Irvine is you're a pitch away from getting out of this thing and you still only trail it by 1. It's tough based on everything else that's happened in this inning because it looked like you had this game won. But if they get back in the dugout still down 1, they got a great chance.
Just got a piece of it. fans know to tailgate. They know how to cheer, too. To center field. Derrigish makes the catch. His throw to home is not in time. 9-7 LSU.
Ball is in right on the nose, not to center field. Derrigish, the new center fielder, does a great job of getting all his momentum going towards home plate when he catches this ball. And he hits just too far out in front of the mound, gets a good bounce, goes over the top of the mound instead of hitting the backside. Speed of Dean, though, at third base is enough to score. Watch where this ball hits for the first time. It skips over the top of the mound, and Dean able to get it, that left foot in there just in time.
So now a 2-run lead, and here's Landry again. He started this inning for LSU. Takes outside. Hitless today. But that was an important walk to start everything going the right way for LSU in the ninth. And of course that great catch early in this game. Popped up center field. Derrigish is going to call for it. And UC Irvine now down in this game by 2 runs. Their last chance when we come back. In the last series here at Old Alex Box Stadium, one of the greatest comebacks perhaps in LSU history. Look at that ninth inning again. 5 runs for the Tigers when their backs were against the wall.
Started off in the ninth inning, Leon Landry walked, and then the bats came alive for LSU. Blake Dean with the single to right field. That gave LSU the lead. Ground ball in the infield that went over the head of Derrigish over at third base. The LSU bats just came alive. 6 runs on 4 hits in that ninth inning. When it looked like they were down, there was a little Alex Box magic that came back to give them the lead.
Well, the scheduled hitters for UC Irvine this inning are Eric Derrigish, Aaron Lowenstein, and the top of the order. As you see, Nicholas Pontiff moves into right field. But it looks like Tyler Hecklin is in the on-deck circle here, warming up. It appears that he's going to pinch hit to lead off the ninth. Hecklin, a left-handed hitter. As Lewis Coleman stays in the game for LSU on the mound. And yes, it will be Hecklin to lead off. And if that name sounds familiar, movie and TV fans may recognize him as an actor from Road to Perdition, starring Tom Hanks. He had a role in that. Also a regular in a couple of TV series. Seventh Heaven. If you're a fan of that show, you've seen Tyler Hecklin. UC Irvine down 2, down to their last 3 outs, and Coleman starts Hecklin with a pitch out of the zone, 1-0. And the last thing Coleman wants to do is walk the leadoff hitter.
Not the way you want to start it, because it just gets the momentum, then shifting back to that Irvine dugout. This has been a game of momentums, really a series of momentums.
Inside, 3-0. Oh, he called it a strike, 2-1. Now it's 3-1. Wallenstein's the next scheduled hitter, but here's it. Fisher is going to pinch hit. 3-2 now, as Hecklin has yet to take the bat off his shoulder. Hit in the air to left field. Backing off, Jared Mitchell reaches up, makes the catch on the warning track. Oh my, what a play from Jared Mitchell as the LSU outfield has been superb today.
That play to start the ninth defensively for LSU. We've talked a lot about the freshman Leon Landry out in center. Jared Mitchell can do a little bit out in left field as well, and this is a tough ball to handle. The wind's going to take it even further than otherwise would. Dives out close to the fence and makes a great catch to start the inning. And Leon Landry, the center fielder, went all the way over to left field to congratulate him after the end of this play. That's another web gem for this LSU team that just keeps getting it done defensively in the outfield.
Now Ryan Fisher to come up and pinch it with one out. Fisher, a .293 hitter. Has 3 home runs on the year and 37 runs batted in. Takes outside. Just a great defensive play in left by Mitchell. And here's what you were talking about, Kyle, as Landry came over to congratulate.
Came all the way over from center. I don't blame you. I'm surprised everybody didn't come over there after that play. You start the inning with that one.
Pulled down the line and fair. Fisher rounding first. He'll think about second and head right over. And he's going to stop there with a one-out double, and this crowd quiets down for a moment.
Now look how that changes the course of the inning right there. I mean, the first hitter of the inning, Hecklin, lines out to Mitchell out in left field. If that ball's not caught, we got a 9-8 ball game and a tying run on second base, but instead there's one out when Fisher comes to the plate. This is a pretty good little pitch, too. Down, a pitch that most left-handers can get to, though, if they get those hands started, and the pitch hitter Fisher now keeps Irvine going here with one out.
And now Tavelli, who was brought in to play third last inning, will hit for the first time today. He takes a strike. Josh Tavelli. .289 hitter, 3 home runs, 19 runs batted in out of Oroville, California. Swung on and fouled straight back. He's down in the count, 2 strikes to Coleman.
There it is.
Irvine would love to get to the middle of this order. Orloff is on deck.
We talked about in the LSU half, getting to Blake Dean. The key now is get to Cusick. Get to Cusick in the 3-hole, then Irvine has a chance to potentially tie it or take the lead.
Tying run at the plate now with one out. Tavelli takes outside, 1-2. Coleman in a long relief situation here for LSU. Now he's just trying to nail it down. Came on in the 7th inning. Fisher out at second. Popped up right side. This is going to be a tough play for the first baseman, Clark. Backpedaling, makes the catch, looking straight into the sun. 2 down. And now the Anteaters are down to their last out.
Clark looks like he's there in plenty of time, but backpedaling again. This crowd of this field sometimes can get a little bit tough when you get out beyond the infield dirt.
LSU with 5 in the 9th to take the lead. Now trying to win it here in the 9th. Hit in the air, shallow right field, coming on Deshaun. And the second baseman, Schiff, makes the catch. There will be a game 3.
What a comeback by this LSU offense. They had not done anything for 17 innings. Looked like they were going to get swept out of Alec Fox in game 2, but instead they put 6 on the board. In the 9th inning, come all the way back to shock Irvine in game 2. We'll have a deciding game 3 tomorrow with the winner heading on to Omaha.
I think you really have to tip your hat to Lewis Coleman. Coleman shut down UC Irvine in the innings that he was asked to pitch.
He did his job, and we talked about it when he came in. Once the goal with Coleman, the goal was to hold down that Irvine offense. He did just that and gave him a chance.
9-7 the final. Baseball tonight driven by Shea will be up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Kyle Peterson and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Clay Matvick. So long from Baton Rouge. We'll see you tomorrow for Game 3.